Now, we talked before about offline transactions. What would happen if I clicked on offline transactions? Right now I see that there's nothing here other than a submit all and delete all. So there's nothing I can do because there's nothing here. So how do we get offline transactions? Well, an offline transaction is processed through either doing a credit note or an invoice or an order and then saving it offline. So what would that look like? Let's go ahead and create an order, and I'll select the customer and I will select some items. So I'll add one of these and add selected items. So when I'm done, if I was to click on submit offline, it would run through and save it offline. Now notice I can still print, I can still email, and I can still do my completion. Now what happened to that transaction? What it did is it saved it onto the device so that I could process it later. Now what do I mean by processing? There's several things I can do. I can actually click on this and edit if I wanted to add to it, or I could delete it if it was a mistake. However, that you require specific security and so forth in order to do so. For this purpose, what I'm going to do is allow you to edit. So I'm going to click on edit. Now, in order to be able to edit, you have to have the appropriate password. So luckily, I have the appropriate password that I can actually edit. And notice what it did. It actually brought it right back up to where I could finalize. Now, what can I do here? Well, I can edit any of these line items, or I can go ahead and edit and add more items to my order. So let's say I wanted to add one of these, and I wanted to add a couple of these. So I can add those, and notice how my order now has multiple lines. I can click done. Now, again, I can save it, which means it's going to save it offline, or I can now submit the full order with all the changes. Well, I'm going to save it again offline, and what we're going to do is I'm going to show you what would happen if you were to show up at the warehouse at the end of the day, or the office, or at home, wherever you get a connection. You could actually click on offline transactions, and what you could do is submit all your transactions. And if there was multiple, you would see multiple, and if it was more lines, it would just scroll down and you'd continue to see a bunch of orders. So what I'm going to do is click on submit all transactions, and it will go through and process, and you'll see it all working through. So these things take a little time if you have multiple, so just be patient with it, but it will go through and process. So now I'm completely done, and I have no more offline transactions. They have been all submitted to the back office system. Now, one thing I will tell you is that you cannot sync your data unless you have 0 transactions in your offline. So it's important that you get into a routine where you regularly process these and submit them on a daily basis if you can, so that you're not going into multiple days where you haven't did a sync with the data to get updated prices, updated customers, you know, that sort of thing. Anyway, so that's the offline transactions. Thank you for watching this video.